We're talking about stewarding the prophetic, and in this video, I want to share about testing prophecy or seeking confirmation. So we would ask ourselves, why do we need to test a prophetic word? When we read the Bible, that feels often like a hard wire to the heart of God. It's written there black on white. But when it comes to prophecy, it's almost like a Wi-Fi signal. So it's a lot more elusive to try and figure out, God, is this you? And we want to make sure that it is Him as we are still growing in our gift. So why test the prophetic? We test the prophetic because we can actually hear from three different sources. We can hear from the Holy Spirit. We can also hear from ourselves when our emotions or our mind can deceive us. And then thirdly, we can also hear from the enemy. And that is why it's important we need to test prophecy. We also test it because it's a command. In 1 Thessalonians 5:20 to 21, it actually says, do not despise prophecy, but test everything and hold fast to what is good. And so prophecy also needs to be tested, not only because it's a command, but often in situations where there's a lot at stake. So the consequences, if you get this wrong, can be really significant. Like for instance, in marriage or moving to a different country or our life calling or something like that. In situations like that, it's really good to seek confirmation and to test the word so that we are sure before we start walking out in alignment with that. I need to also say that God cannot be manipulated into confirming a prophetic word. I mean, the amount of people that I've heard would say things like, okay, if it rains tomorrow, I will marry her. And if it doesn't rain tomorrow, I will not marry her. And they are left disillusioned because of trying to manipulate God and giving them an answer. But there are certain kinds of words that God will actually not confirm and that we actually will not be able to test. The first one is, say there is a word where your immediate obedience is required. It's like a parent that take a child's hand and just say, I cannot explain now, just believe, follow me and obey and come with me. And we just got to go with it. And there's certain situations if God tells you, give this amount of money to that person, you cannot say, well, I need to first test this because there's no time. That man is about to get on a bus or something. Another thing that God might not confirm would be where our will is at play. And confirmation is not a solution for our unwillingness to obey. Say Abraham, God is telling him, sacrifice your son. He told him once. And there was obviously a wrestle within his will in order to know, how can I step out in obedience to this? Sometimes, in Matthew 6:4, it says that a perverse generation is looking for a sign, meaning they don't want to obey, they don't want to believe, they just want another sign. And just needing another confirmation, but the issue is actually within the will. God will also not necessarily confirm a prophetic word where, and this is the last one, but an important one, when your prophetic word is covered by debris. And what I mean by that is that cannot be, testing will not help in that. Prayer, when we war off things like confusion and disillusionment and fear of failure that actually almost cover that word, that we actually don't know if this is God because of those things that are stirred up in our hearts. And as we war those things off, if they are gone, you will not need confirmation because you will clearly see that this is God. But that's not the issue of testing, it's the issue of prayer, and that God will not necessarily confirm, but it requires an action from our side. Maybe some questions. It's vital we ask the right questions in situations like this. Does this word resonate with me? Has God spoken this in another prophetic word? Is this confirmation of something else that God has personally spoken to me? What is God saying to me personally about this word? The person that shared this word, are they credible and also accountable to someone? And then, obviously we can also see, did the word come to pass? But we can also receive a word, do nothing about it, and then say that it was a false prophet that shared it while we actually did nothing to align our lives or hearts with that word. So I want to encourage you, test prophecy, hold on to what is good, and bless you as you walk in seeking confirmation and testing of the words that God has given you.